I went from making $0 to $100,000 freelancing last year. $106,711.84 to be exact. Freelancing is a very high risk, high reward field, and fortunately 2022 that risk paid off greatly for me. For some quick background, I'm a full-time freelance video editor. I mostly work on YouTube videos or with corporate clients. I make all of my money from video editing. I'm not here to tell you a bunch of side hustle nonsense. I'm really just looking to educate you if you're looking to get into the video editing field or freelancing in general. As I said, last year I made a little over $106,000, and I did that working a little over 2,500 hours with an average 50-hour work week. Stick around because I'll break down what I made each month as well. We can break my income up into 3 categories: Upwork income, video editing, and royalty income. I know, I said I made all of my money from video editing. However, I did make a full-length feature film that pays me a little bit of passive income every month. It's not very much, which is why I didn't mention it in the beginning. You can also see here from my P&L sheet that I have a billable expense income. That's just some travel expenses that I was reimbursed from a client. All of these added up equate to that $106,000 number I mentioned earlier. Now, the business savvy people who may be watching this will see that I have a QuickBooks profit and loss sheet and say things like, "That's your gross income. Show me the real number." Real number meaning my net income after all of my expenses are paid for. You can see here that it was $46,661.84. You freaking liar. You told all of us to our faces that you made $100,000.
Right to jail.
Hold on, stay with me. Once we go over my expenses, this will make a bit more sense. Let's address how I got to that $106,000 number to begin with. I do client work, meaning that I search out for clients or clients will come to me to do their video editing work. I'm a freelancer or contractor, which means that I'm not an official employee for those clients. I use websites like Upwork and Fiverr to find those clients, and occasionally a long-term client will send a referral to me. I do have a lot of long-term clients, but every once in a while, I'll get a job where I'm just doing one project for them and then our relationship is over. Obviously, we love our long-term clients here, but there's a place for the one and done jobs as well. I'm not going to go into the specifics of how much I made from each client because I've probably done well over 1,000 videos last year, but I will share a graph here of how that income is broken down. $73,800 or 70% came from corporate clients, $31,700 or 30% came from YouTube clients. While I'm not breaking these down, I will say that with the corporate clients, most of that income came from one client. With YouTube, that was split about evenly between 2 different clients. And then I had a bunch of one-off clients like I was talking about earlier sprinkled in here and there. So as you can see, the majority of my income really only came from 3 clients. I actually made it a personal goal for me last year to try to work with less people so I could focus on those more higher paying clients. And that strategy has worked pretty well for me so far because in 2021, I made about $70,000 in gross income. So you can see that's about a $36,000 increase year over year. You might be asking yourself, how did I personally get here and what can you do to do the same? To be honest, I initially had to work with a lot of people who didn't pay me fairly. I did a lot of videos for like 20 or 30 bucks. My strategy was focused on just the volume of projects so that way I could build up enough work to have leverage with future clients. Once I built up that work, I was able to say no to those lower paying jobs and focus more on my higher paying clients. And oddly enough, one thing I've found over the years is that the higher paying clients are actually easier to work with than the lower paying ones. I'm not saying this is the only strategy to get here, but this is what worked for me. Now let's address the elephant in the room with my expenses. I'm not going to get into all of these individually, but if you would like a video about what it costs to run a freelancing business, definitely let me know in the comments. Some common expenses I run into are paying for services like Artlist and Storyblocks, so that way I have stock footage and music for my clients. In 2022, I did have a bookkeeper, but I've since cut that expense and started doing it on my own. You'll see here in a minute that things toward the end of the year got a little bit sketchy. I also have other subscription services like QuickBooks and Dropbox and Google Drive. And from time to time, if I have an overflow of work, I will hire additional video editors. And I also pay for an accountant to do tax strategy and my taxes. My biggest expense last year by far is the fees I accrued from Upwork. That unfortunately is a necessary evil in this industry if you're trying to work with marketplaces like Upwork or Fiverr. And my biggest client at the time did pay me through Upwork. Now, if you look at my P&L sheet again, you will see this giant $38,754 $1,000 expense. I have an LLC for my business, and once I hired my accountant, he suggested that I change my business to an S Corp to save some money on taxes. This is a completely legal strategy, but it only makes sense if you are making a certain amount of money. My accountant suggested that if I was making over $40,000, it was worth looking into. I obviously doubled that threshold, so I became an S Corp last year. That $38,000 expense is for paychecks that I pay to myself every month. So it's technically income for me on the personal side, but it's an expense on the business side. So the business net income of $46,661.84, in addition to my payroll wage of $38,754, left my total net salary to about $85,000. Of course, this number is before taxes, aside from the taxes that I've paid through the S Corp. But not too bad overall for being only 2 years into this. Here's something I wanted to address though if you're looking to become a freelancer in the future. I said I made $106,000 last year, but that wasn't split evenly month over month. I'm going to show you how wildly inconsistent this can be, and this is something you should highly consider if you want to become a freelancer in any capacity. In January, I made $8,810. February, I made $11,905. March, I made $14,535. April, I made $10,590. May, I made $13,040. June, I made $11,000. July, I made $6,590. August, I made $8,290. September, I made $5,960. October, I made $6,730. November, I made $4,425. And in December, I made $4,820. As you can see, it got a little dicey there towards the end of the year. That's why you're going to hear all these freelancers and financial gurus say that you should have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses paid for in case of emergencies. I personally have about a year's worth of salary saved up so I can handle the swings, but I think you'd be really safe at 6 months.